In this video, we're gonna show you how we built a 650-gallon water catch system and went from this to this. Hi guys, in this video we're going to explain how a water catch system works, how we built ours, and how you can build your own. So this is our old water catch system. As you can see, it is kind of a joke. You do not catch very much water with that. That is a joke. So first off, the fundamentals. How does a water catch system work? Well, first it comes from your rain gutter, and then it fills barrels like so. When the barrels fill, they fill from the bottom. They're connected from the bottom like this. So all of the barrels, they fill from the bottom up. The barrels are upside down like this, and all of your barrels will fill at once. So what do you need to build your own water catch system? Well, obviously the first thing you're gonna need is something to store your water in. We're using these 55-gallon drums. We've gotten these off of Craigslist for dirt cheap. The next thing you're gonna need is something to set your barrels on. We're using these 5x5 timbers that we've gotten from Menards. The next thing you need is some PVC pipe to put your barrels together. So we got all of our stuff pretty cheap, so for our entire project, it costs less than $300. But if you're looking to save money, you can use stuff like cement blocks instead of wood, whatever you got laying around the house, it's all good. So the first thing you want to do is level out the ground underneath where your barrels are gonna go. After you level out your ground, you want to set your supports for your barrels. In our case, it is the wood here. Once you get your barrels, if you look at the caps, if you look really closely, they're threaded caps right here. What you're gonna wanna do is take a hammer and a screwdriver and punch out that center cap. Once you do that, you want to take some thread tape and put your cap back on. After that, you take your PVC pipe with a T on it, put more thread tape on that, and put it on the cap like that. So your cap will look like this, and then we suggest putting silicone or caulk or glue, whatever you have around that to make it extra watertight. So once you do that, what you're gonna wanna do is cut PVC pipe to attach to the next barrel. And you're going to want the barrels attached essentially like that. The point of this is when the water comes from your rain gutter, all of the barrels in your system are connected together and they will all fill at the same time. So that is very important to do. Our next thing that is very, very important is this barrel right here. If you look closely, you might see that it is a much smaller barrel. Why is that? Well, what some people miss is that in your rain gutters, a lot of times it gets leaves, debris, crap like that in your gutters. And the bad thing about that is this pipe is fairly small, so that can plug up your entire system. And we do not want that. That would be very bad. So you want your first barrel to catch all of the garbage from your gutter. So how it works, all of the debris and water comes in this pipe here. And it all drops in our first barrel right here. Once this barrel fills up, we have just a plumbing backflow valve. What that does, when the water gets up to this point, the valve closes. creating a seal which backs all of the water up here, forcing the rest of the water into this barrel and this barrel, which is connected to the rest of the system. Now this is very important because then all of your debris is only in this barrel, and it's important that there is a valve or a seal there so all of your junk does not float up and go into the rest of your system. Then on this barrel here, we also have a 2-inch valve here to empty all of our debris, and then you can put a bucket or a hose on it to still catch the water to use that. So that is a very important step. Next, if you come over here, you will see that this barrel right here is taller than the others. All the rest of the barrels are at this height right here, but this one is about 6 inches higher. The reason that is because once your entire system is full, what happens to your excess water? Well, we have it set up in our system for the excess water to go down our old rain gutter. So what most people do is they just take one of their normal height barrels and put a return line into that. The problem with that is then all of your barrels only will fill up this full. They're all missing a couple gallons of water because that's where your backflow or your return line is. So we raised this barrel about 5 or 6 inches and put our return line in there. So then all of the barrels will get to this height, which will be full for all of the normal height barrels. But since this one's taller, once it reaches that height, it will go back into our return line, heading back to the drain. So that is the basics of how a rain system works. So a few key points to point out about this system. The first one is our debris barrel here. What you're going to want to do is every single rainstorm, you're going to want to flush this barrel here. The reason why is because when this barrel is full and your valve is closed, all of the water goes into the rest of your system, which will send the debris into the rest of that system as well. But you do not want to waste this water. This is still good water. So put a bucket under it, hook a hose on it, make sure to use that water. But I really suggest emptying it on every single storm. The second thing to point out about our system here at least is we have 2 pipes going into 2 separate barrels. Why is that? The reason is we have a fairly large building here. What we did, we went up in our rain gutter and we put a deflector in the rain gutter because we have 2 downspouts, one here, one on the far end. We put a deflector, it's about 1 inch down from the top of the rain gutter to force most of the water to this downspout here, so we fill our system even on a fairly small storm. So we had to put in a dual pipe system because sometimes when it downpours here, the water comes too fast for just 1 barrel. So 2 barrels can fill and fill the rest of the system. Another question you might have is, how the heck do I get the water out of my system? Well, what we do, since we are very cheap, we use a gravity-fed system. What that is it is just this water hose adapter here with a valve right here that we put on the end of our system right here, and that goes on the end of these boards over there. So when we want water, all we got to do is turn that valve and water will come out of our system from gravity of the water. Another thing you can do if you want water faster and have the money for electricity, you can cut a hole in the top of one of your barrels and drop a pump in there and pump out water. The only problem with that, depending on where you live, you might get mosquitoes that start to lay eggs and stuff like that. So you want to make sure to put some sort of a screen or a top on that barrel so mosquitoes cannot get in and lay eggs. Another thing to point out is where our system sits currently, it is in direct sunlight. The sun rises over there and sets over there. So it is in direct sunlight most of the day. You do not want that with your system because the pipes can get brittle and crack after a couple years. So what we suggest doing, what we're going to put up next, is a fence along right here. So that will create shade for our system and keep our system out of the sun. And finally, if you live in a cold climate like we do in Wisconsin here, you want to make sure to drain your system every year and have a way to drain your system for winter. For us, we just open up our valves and let them drain out. Another neat thing that you can do if you have the disposable income is buy a transfer pump. And what you can do with that, you could bury a line underground and have it going to your garden, or in our case, trees, whatever you got. And you can use that, so instead of hauling out a water hose every time or hauling buckets to your items that you want to water, you can use a pump so you have some real water pressure and not have to run a water hose to those items every time. So if you have some extra money burning a hole in your pocket, I would definitely look into doing that. This project is such a great way to save money. If you want to save even more money, you can take my grandpa's advice and use it to take outdoor showers in the summer. That will save you so much money on water. This is the best water you can find. Just make sure to use biodegradable soap and do not drink the water. So, thank you again for watching this video. Till next time.